the aircon on because it is a glorious day in Melbourne. It is feckin' warm. Hey legends, this is I Am Manifestation. I'm your conscious manifestation coach, Cerise, and I help you get out of your own way so you can manifest your version of an awesome fucking life. In this video, I wanted to talk about manifesting on a time crunch because I know that a lot of you are hoping for certain things, manifestations to come about by Christmas or the holidays, whatever you celebrate at that time of the year. And the first thing I want to say is, can you manifest by a certain time? Yes, 100% you can. Now, here's the thing. A lot of you are doing that from a place of fear that if you don't see the result that you're wanting by that time, then you're going to feel like you don't trust in your power. You're going to feel like your manifestation is not in the works behind the scenes. Because remember, I talk about this in a lot of videos. There's more going on than what you like, the small amount of HD in your direct line of vision and your peripherals, right? There's a whole wide world going on around you where things are coming together that you're not aware of and that you don't need to be aware of. You just need to focus on the end goal. And you can manifest in steps. I have a video on that from either last week or the week before. So I won't go too much into that. But living from the end goal just allows things to come about via the most efficient route as opposed to adding unnecessary stops on your Uber journey, your metaphorical Uber journey. So yes, you can manifest by a specific time, but the other thing is when you are coming at it from that place of fear and putting the pressure on it, it can still come about by that time. I don't want to say that it's impossible. You absolutely can. But usually people who are manifesting from that place are being thrown off in the lead up to that specific date because they notice that the date's creeping closer and closer and they feel like they haven't seen any movement. So that doubt starts to creep in. And that is just pushing your manifestation further away. And the more you notice the time, the more time you're manifesting between you and the thing you want. And the other thing with focusing on the time is that even if the amount of time that it takes for it to come about is the same, when you're focusing on the time, it perceptually feels like it's taking longer. And an example of this is when you put a pot of water on the stove to boil. If you're standing over it going, boil already, like I want to put the pasta in, it feels like it takes fucking forever. But if you put the pot on the stove to boil while you get your other ingredients ready, before you know it, you hear it boiling and you're like, oh, fuck, that didn't take any time at all. It took the same amount of time to boil. You just weren't staring at it, focusing on it. Over here, I know that I've said it and had a lot of I've said it to a lot of people from overseas on the other side of the world and used a saying that we use on this side of the world. I'm in Australia, I grew up in New Zealand. So we have the saying, a watched kettle never boils. And that kind of refers, it's the same thing. So like waiting for the water to boil, like standing over it, waiting for it, looking at it, watching it, makes it feel like it's taking longer. When you do other things, it happens or perceptually feels like it's happening faster. The other thing I wanted to mention is that, again, whilst you absolutely can manifest in the thing you want by the time you want it, often it'll be a half-baked version of what you're wanting. And in those moments, you really need to ask yourself, do I want the full extent of what I'm manifesting? Or do I just want it to see it or to be around that person right now? And that is usually coming from a self-concept that could use a lot of work. It's probably coming from an out-of-whack nervous system. Ultimately, you want to ask yourself, like, if it only meant a small fraction of what I really want, but I can have it right now, would I prefer that? Or would I prefer to wait a bit longer, stop focusing on the time, allow it to come together without perceptually slowing down the process, but also adding those extra Uber stops on your metaphorical Uber journey unnecessarily to get it in sooner, and what feels sooner as well as will be sooner because you're not adding in those unnecessary steps, right? To get the full extent of what I'm wanting, the full version of what I'm wanting, the person offering everything I want from them, the full success of something, the full offer of a job or a home or whatever, as opposed to a home that only has little bits of what you want, for example. I also have a video that I'll put here on how I manifested my dream apartment at the time. My dreams are definitely expanding as I get further and further along my conscious manifestation journey. And I'll share those with you once they come to fruition. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like I mentioned, it comes down to where your self-concept is at and where your nervous system is at. If it's out of whack, it's going to need things now. It's going to need instant gratification because you're looking for external validation when it's what you fill your own cup with that overflows and projects out into your world. So if just seeing someone on Christmas Day means so much to you, even though it would mean that then you're not necessarily seeing them at the capacity that you want. So for example, just being in the same place as someone, but not connected to them on a romantic level like you're wanting. Or just to give other examples, let's say you have the option of crashing on a friend's couch over the holiday period, just because we're kind of going with the holiday theme as our time crunch in this particular video, crashing on a friend's couch over the holiday period and potentially getting your dream apartment, or just signing a lease for a place now just to have a place, which is really somewhere that you wouldn't be happy. It's not as convenient as you want, et cetera, and then being locked into that lease for at least 6 months or a year or however long it would be. When if you just stuck it out where you were and trusted that things were coming together, just after the holidays, you could have your absolute fucking dream apartment. If you are constantly settling for the things that you don't really want or that aren't at the full extent of what you want, you're entertaining the versions of things that are not the full version of what you want, then you are holding yourself in a reality where that's all you can have right now. That's also not to say that you can't break leases without being judged and things like that. I've managed to do it. You can certainly take a place now if you don't have the option of like crashing on someone's couch and then manifest that you're able to get out of that lease whilst you're still looking for the thing that you want. But oftentimes people would settle and then they would just accept that circumstance for however long, whether it's the type of communication that is not up to par with a happy, healthy, committed relationship, but it's just texting memes. Like I've had a lot of clients that are like, yeah, I mean, he texts me all the time. I've manifested him texting me or her texting me all the time, but it's, it's like, and I'm like, what kind of communication is? And it's like, oh, it's memes and things like that. And I'm like, okay, so how do you feel when that's all you're getting, when you ultimately want a relationship? And they're always like, yeah, it's a bit empty kind of thing, but it's nice that they're texting. And I'm like, that is choosing a reality where your worth is at a text message and no higher. I've spoken about this in other videos, so if I remember to, I'll link that here as well. But it's the same with, if you settled for a lease for a place that you don't like, some people would do that and then just go, oh, well, I'm locked into this lease for however long I signed up for it. And if I break it, it's going to cost me a lot of money. So I'm not even going to keep my options open, my eyes out for looking at places if I can't move out of this place for a year or whatever. And then you can miss out on that. And then it doesn't mean that you can't have it later, but it's creating unnecessary obstacles or unnecessary, again, stops on your metaphorical Uber journey that don't need to be there. So as I always say, you never have to do what I say, right? Take what resonates, what feels good, ignore what doesn't. It's your reality. But if you check in with yourself, a lot of you will know that if you're manifesting by a certain time, it's coming from a place of fear. It's coming from a place of anxiety, and those things can be remedied by using my cheat codes that I talk about in all my other videos. So I'll just mention them very briefly: self-concept work, nervous system regulation, feel good things. And then you'll be putting less pressure on the time, you'll be focusing less on the time. Just naturally you feel more at ease, more cool, calm, collected, neutral about the thing that you want, and therefore it's easier then to live from the end goal and allow things to come together via the most efficient path, as opposed to adding those unnecessary stops to your Uber journey. And the last thing that I want to add is, for most of you, if you do those things often, you'll find that the manifestation that you're wanting by a certain date actually happens by that date, because you're not focusing on the time, you're not stressing, you're not creating an atmosphere internally by which you are thrown off your thoughts. So if you haven't already signed up for the no obligation to buy solid self-concept course waitlist in the description below, do that if you want the option. Even if you don't intend on buying it now, at least when it comes out, you'll have the option to get a 50% off code when it's released. Only the people on the waitlist will get that. Thank you for being here. You're a fucking legend. Don't you ever forget it. If you'd like to, why not like, share, comment, and or subscribe to help me grow my channel so I can help as many people as possible on a free platform. I'd really appreciate it. And until next time, have a good one. No, that's not what I want to say.